And they've wreaked havoc across the country for years, but a government-commissioned report has now concluded that groups like Just Stop Oil and Palestine Action should be banned. The government's advisor on political violence and disruption, Lord Walney, wants to make it an offence to belong to, quote, extreme protest groups that regularly employ criminal methods to campaign. In the draft copy of his report, Walney says militant groups like Palestine Action and Just Stop Oil are using criminal tactics to create mayhem and hold the public and workers to ransom without fear of consequence. Banning terror groups has made it harder for their activists to plan crimes. That approach should be extended to extreme protest groups too. The report's also expected to recommend that protests near defence manufacturing and energy sites should also be banned. And that comes, of course, just weeks after Palestine Action targeted drone manufacturers in Leicestershire, scaling the roof of the factory in protest of the sale of British-made weapons to Israel. So tonight, I'm asking, should groups like Just Stop Oil and Palestine Action be banned like terror groups? Let me know your thoughts by heading to gbnews.com/your say or tweet me at GBNews. And whilst you're there, vote in our poll. The results will come shortly. But going head-to-head on this now are Just Stop Oil spokesperson Gill Tavner and local government editor of Conservative Home, Harry Phibbs. Very good evening to you both. Jill, I'll just start with you, please. By definition, Just Stop Oil is an organised crime gang, isn't it?
By definition, no. And we're not being stopped because of our tactics, because our tactics are peaceful. And until a year ago, when these new laws came in, they would have been lawful. We're being stopped and squashed and criminalised, really, because we tell the truth about the fossil fuel industry's control of our politics. It's not because of what we do, smashing a bit of, well, not even managing to break a bit of glass in the British Library. I mean, it's laughable. It is laughable, really, isn't it? It should be funny. That you're telling your audience, and I'm sure this person who I'm now head-to-head with, you're telling your audience that people like me, a teacher, and Sue and Judy, who, failed really to cause any decent damage to a piece of glass in the British Library, are a greater threat to your audience's future and livelihood than fossil fuel giants continuing to release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, causing climate collapse, causing collapse of our agricultural systems and collapse of our society. But the government and these sort of things are trying to frame
Jill,
people like me and protesters using our legal right, which was a legal right until very recently, until the oil company decided to squash us, to say, excuse me, but we don't think this is right.
Jill, do you not think blocking ambulances is a bit extreme?
Oh, that old chestnut, eh?
Do you or not?
Act. Of course. First of all, that's always brought up. It's an untruth. I've been on these protests. We do not deliberately block ambulances. We move aside. We have a blue light policy. Even when we used to glue onto the road, we would not glue the lane that ambulances would go through.
But you have, the group.
I challenge you to do a Freedom of Information Act.
Sorry to interject.
How many ambulances have been held up by us?
Well, there's two that I found earlier. I mean, one was on the 8th of November last year. The London Ambulance Service said an ambulance with a patient on board was delayed on Waterloo Bridge at 10:22. Delays from protests cost lives. We ask any protesters to allow our crews to pass.
Bridge, and I said to the police liaison officer, if we're causing a blockage for an ambulance, we will leave the road. And he said, don't worry, it's where the police have parked that's causing the problem.
Is the ambulance service lying then?
No, they're not lying. I don't know where the truth is in the way you scramble these things, but...
you don't know where the truth is? OK.
We do our very best not to cause... Our aim is not to cause any problems for people, not to cause any damage. We're there to try to reduce the damage that is ahead of us. Right. And actually, that's even happening right now around the world.
I'll just bring Harry in. Sorry to interrupt. Let's bring Harry in. Harry, should they be considered terrorist groups?
Well, it's a difference in degree, isn't it? What we shouldn't have is organisations promoting criminal activity having complete immunity. I don't think that there's as serious as people trying to incite murder or injury to people. But of course, if they're trying to incite to organise criminal damage and to promote that, then it's completely logical that all criminal organisations should be prohibited. In a way, it's worse if you get these naive, gullible teenagers being groomed by these cynical people. The organisers. I know many viewers will think, well, look at all these teenagers getting involved in these in this vandalism and disrupting the traffic, and how hypocritical and spoiled they are, and that the police should take a tougher line. And I agree with that. But even worse are the cynical people safely manipulating them while they let the naive teenagers take the rap and get arrested.
What do you say to that, Gill?
Well, it's absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. You're talking about something you don't know about. Nobody is groomed. Everyone who comes along chooses to use Just Stop Oil as a vehicle through which to be heard, to make what the majority is teenagers are groomed. I'm a teacher, I'm an intelligent person. The people I've been on the road with are teachers, gardeners, doctors, lawyers, some young, some old. You've got reverends doing it. They're really groomed. They're people who feel it's their Christian duty to stand up for what's right. And something else I'd like to pick up, and you say you think we've got immunity against criminal actions. We're filling the courts at the moment. We've got cases against us. We stand up when we do something wrong. We say, yeah, we broke a law, even if it's a law that's being challenged by Liberty at the moment because it was brought in by the fossil fuel industry to stop us. We still take the consequences.
Well, that's why, by definition, you're a criminal organisation.
We don't seek immunity. We say we stand up for what we're doing because you know what? Sometimes
Gill,
you've just got to do it.
Right, got it. But so I am correct then by saying, by definition, you are a criminal organisation. You just said that you're going to court.
About criminal organisations, let's look at who's really breaking laws. Our government has twice in the last few weeks it's been found that their climate policy is unlawful. The High Court has found that. Now, I think a decent government would go, crikey, that's, if we stand for the rule of law, we really need to look at this.
It's a different subject.
No, it's not. 31 new fossil fuels.
You're talking about migration.
It's a good point. 31 new licenses issued since the High Court said that their policies are unlawful. And they're doubling down on us, saying that we're the criminals. The real criminals are those who are in Downing Street, the fossil fuel industry, through policy exchange, with Rishi Sunak standing there with all their names behind him the other day.
Jill, you wouldn't be sat here now.
Stop us telling the truth.
Okay, Jill.
You're trying to stop me.
Okay, Jill, let me talk. You wouldn't be sat here now on this conversation with us without the internet, without fossil fuels. And when China's building 2 coal power stations, a week, and our global emissions in the UK are less than 1%, and you know that, what difference does it make to our contribution to the world when the likes of China and India are surging ahead?
It's frustrating to hear those arguments again. So
well, it's a fact, isn't it?
I can come up with a really simple truth. One is that the emissions per person are pretty similar. China and India have lower emissions per person than we do. It's just they have more people. Okay, so yeah, they are building some stuff, but they're also ahead of us on a lot of their green investment. But also, I can't go to China and protest there. I'm trying to sort out my own backyard. If you think it will work to go to China, then I'm not going to stand in your way. Go and protest for the world there if you want. Just by trying to shut us up doesn't make the climate crisis go away. It's nonsense.
Jill, I'm not going to go there because I think the march to net zero is completely deranged. Harry, last word to you.
Look, I think the propaganda that's been put, the alarmism, particularly for teenagers, has been appalling. There was a brilliant YouTube documentary by a documentary maker called Martin Birkin called "Climate Change: The Cold Truth," which debunks some of the alarmism. Of course, if children are brought up to say the world's coming to an end, there's no point getting married and having children because the world's coming to an end. Of course, they will be incited towards desperate actions, but it's necessary to rebut that alarmism, and it's also necessary.
I've got 2 daughters, 19 and 21, and I do not talk about climate change with them because I don't want it on their shoulders. It's absolute nonsense.
One at a time, please. We can't hear you if there's 2 people talking. One at a time.
Okay,
Jill.
why should we have people like Nigel Farage being cancelled with their bank accounts, where we have criminal conspiracies being allowed to organise, being allowed to operate bank accounts, being allowed to campaign openly, inciting
Harry,
young people to break the law?
Jill, very last word to you. Harry's got a good point there. We've had predictions of yesteryear, and I say it to all climate alarmists who come on this channel. We had scientists in the year 1991, 92 saying that by the year 2000, kids in this country wouldn't know what snow is. The UN chief climate scientist predicted an ice age.
Let
me finish, Jill. Let me finish.
talking.
Let me finish, please.
No, I'm not going to let you finish.
No, let me finish. I've allowed you to talk. Have the courtesy to let me ask my question.
And you're not telling the truth.
I'm asking you a question. Jill?
When you go on, ask me a question.
I'm asking you a question. When we've had so many very severe doomsday predictions of recent years, going back decades, how can we expect the public to get on board with your argument?
It's not an argument. It's because scientists are now saying, just like I am, in despair at this nonsense. It's just like we are headed for a terrible future, and we will know it. And you know what? You're selling your soul to spout this rubbish. And the reason you're relying now on saying that climate change isn't real, just look out your window.
Who said climate change isn't real, Jill?
On a third of their land.
Who said climate change isn't real?
Well, I don't know. You're saying it's all the wrong predictions.
You don't even know what I've said.
Yes, I do. You're both saying this is nonsense. The fact is, we need to stop putting CO2 into the atmosphere. You're paid to try and scramble my brain. The basis facts are the facts of the science, and all climate scientists agree, any decent, unmercenary ones agree, that we need to stop putting carbon dioxide into the atmosphere because it is causing climate catastrophe, climate collapse, which damages our food systems, which have evolved on a stable planet, which has allowed our society to evolve. Break that stability, and it has done, it's done. We need to just make it as less bad as possible.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
But
Thanks for coming. Thank you, Harry. Appreciate it. So, who do you agree with at home? As a government-commissioned report recommends a crackdown should groups like Just Stop Oil and Palestine Action be banned, akin to terror groups. Sean on X says groups like JSO, Extinction Rebellion and Insulate Britain threaten innocent people enjoying their lives. They are extremists. Peter says, should they be banned? No. Should they be dealt with if they vandalise, block roads and push hate speech? Yes, but we already have laws against those things. The police need to use them. And Barry on X says banning groups like Just Stop Oil would be an attack on free speech. I'm not so sure on that, Barry, when they're committing criminal acts. But anyway, your verdict is now in. 89% of you agree groups like Just Stop Oil and Palestine Action should be banned. 11% of you say they should not.